I still wake up in a cold sweat sometimes, hearing the ghostly chime of a spreadsheet notification from a quarter I didn't even know existed. You think your job is stressful? Try swapping lives with someone whose morning commute involves talking about Q3 EBITDA projections, and whose idea of a fun evening is dissecting the yield curve. This is the true story of how I, a mild-mannered, coffee-fueled YouTube creator specializing in minimalist illustration tutorials, accidentally traded careers with a bona fide Wall Street investment banker named Chad. Spoiler alert, it was hilarious, terrifying, and proved that perhaps some professional boundaries should remain sacred. It all started with a simple networking event, a place I usually frequent for the free artisanal flatbread, and the chance to escape my cramped apartment studio. I spotted Chad immediately. He was wearing a suit so sharp it could probably cut through a hostile takeover. And he had the confident, thousand-yard stare only achieved by people who deal in seven figures before noon. He looked exactly like the villain in a feel-good romantic comedy. I, meanwhile, was explaining the nuanced difference between vector and raster graphics to a bewildered corporate peer rep. Chad and I ended up chatting about the grind. I complained about the YouTube algorithm and the sheer emotional labor of pretending to be enthusiastic about drawing a perfectly straight line for the 300th time. Chad, surprisingly, admitted he was tired of making rich people richer. The only color I see these days is the red or green of a stock chart, not the Pantone color palette, he sighed, sipping his expensive mineral water. That's when the genius idea hit. A short, sharp flash of inspiration, possibly brought on by the exhaustion of trying to be charismatic. Let's swap, just for a week, I blurted out. Chad, momentarily taken aback, adjusted his $5,000 watch. Then, a slow, predatory grin spread across his face. You manage my crypto portfolio, and I'll manage your YouTube channel. A week. No backing out. I shook his hand, thinking, how hard can it be? The answer, my friends, is significantly, hilariously hard. The next morning, I was sitting at Chad's sleep, three-monitor desk overlooking Manhattan. My wardrobe was suddenly 80% Italian wool. I had a new, terrifying vocabulary. Bullish, bearish, liquidity, and margin call, words that sounded less like finance and more like a medieval battle cry. My first task was to review his crypto portfolio. The sheer amount of digital currency made my bank account look like I was saving up for a really nice sandwich. The portfolio was diversified across various altcoins, DeFi platforms, and something ominously called Shiba Inu's revenge token. I looked at the graphs. They went up, they went down. They zigzagged like a drunken European tourist trying to find the Louvre. My personal habits, usually focused on gentle creativity and mindful sketching, were instantly ruined. I used to spend my mornings meditating. Now I was anxiously refreshing a chart that showed my net worth fluctuate by the price of a small car every 5 minutes. I started seeing candlestick charts in my sleep. I tried to apply my creative logic. I looked at a coin called Polygon and thought, well, a polygon has many sides. Maybe it's multi-talented. I poured money into it. Spoiler, that's not how it works. I tried to use a joke I heard once. I invested in an airline stock, and now I'm watching my money fly away. No one laughed. They just adjusted their glasses and asked if I'd hedge against the CPI report. I felt like a golden retriever at a MENSA convention. The tragedy of this was realizing that finance is not about feelings or intuition. It's about data and algorithms and an almost superhuman tolerance for risk. I, on the other hand, nearly cried when I accidentally deleted a saved font file. My biggest tragedy used to be a bad Wi-Fi connection. Now it was potentially bankrupting a man I barely knew. I developed a new mindset: panic early, panic often. Every time a chart dipped, I'd instinctively sell, only to watch it surge 30 minutes later. It was the financial equivalent of trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. I even tried to negotiate with the markets. Listen, Mr. Bitcoin, I'd whisper to the screen. Just a small bounce back. I'll draw you a nice illustration. I promise. The markets, predictably, did not care about my artistic promises. Meanwhile, Chad was grappling with my corner of the internet. I had left him with a meticulously planned content schedule, 3 videos to live streams, and a weekly newsletter titled The Outline of Serenity. Chad, used to the brutal honesty of institutional investors, tried to apply his banking mindset to my community. The first video ID plan was called Minimalist Line Art for Beginners. Drawing a Perfect Circle. Chad's new title, Arbitraging the Aesthetic Gap, utilizing vector geometry to maximize visual ROI. The comments section was brutal. A fan named Pastel Princess 99 wrote, "What in the leverage buyout is Chad talking about? Where is the cozy vibe?" Chad tried to host a live stream about my favorite topic, secure personal boundaries. I used to explain it using the metaphor of a cozy, clearly defined room. Chad, however, started the stream with, "Alright, let's talk about P/E ratios. Personal and emotional ratios. Your emotional equity must be protected from external non-performing assets." He then spent an hour explaining the importance of exit strategies for toxic relationships, complete with a flow chart depicting a friend as a low-yield fixed-income instrument. The humor here was twofold. Chad, the master of complex financial systems, couldn't grasp the simple, nebulous concept of vibe. He approached content creation like a hostile corporate takeover. He treated my loyal, gentle community like potential shareholders in a volatile market. He started referring to the comments section as stakeholder feedback. His biggest realization, I think, was the tragedy of digital performance. In banking, a bad quarter is hidden in reports. On YouTube, a bad video is an immediate, public humiliation, complete with real-time thumbs-down reactions. He could understand why people didn't want to optimize their watercolor saturation for maximum click-through rates. It's like applying German efficiency to French romance. It just doesn't work. By the end of the week, we were both shells of our former, professionally focused selves. I was hunched over Chad's desk nervously chewing on a perfectly sharpened Montblanc pen, having lost a small fortune betting on a coin that promised to be the Ethereum killer, but turned out to be more like the Ethereum mildly annoying cousin. My mind was a dizzying blur of stop losses and short positions. My old self would have been content with a cup of tea and a blank page. This new self demanded a quarterly earnings report and a strong espresso. Chad, meanwhile, had accidentally deleted my entire library of custom Procreate brushes while trying to declutter the digital assets. He had alienated 75% of my subscriber base by trying to sell them a limited edition NFT of my egg-shaped mascot, which was totally against my brand guidelines. He looked exhausted, having realized that content creation is a continuous, relentless machine that demands authenticity, not just capital. Your job, he told me later, is like trying to build a castle out of clouds. The metrics are soft, the assets are intangible, and the audience is terrifyingly sensitive. When we met back at the networking spot to return our lives, we looked at each other with newfound respect and utter pity. Chad's expensive suit was rumpled, and he had a coffee stain on his silk tie, a sign of the chaotic, unoptimizable world of content creation. I was wearing his suit, which felt like an armored corset, but I had accidentally drawn a small, minimalist flower and permanent marker on the cuff during an anxiety attack. The crypto is volatile, I confessed, sheepishly. The subscribers are. Offended, Chad admitted, defeatedly. We both burst out laughing. It was the kind of laughter that comes from surviving a near-death experience. Or maybe just from realizing that we are both deeply, irrevocably, unsuited for each other's profession. I returned to my studio with the blissful relief of a prisoner released from Alcatraz. I immediately deleted all the financial news apps I had downloaded. I went back to drawing straight lines and explaining color theory. My mindset shifted from how can I maximize my leverage to how can I create something gentle and useful. Chad went back to his trading floor where he belonged. But I noticed a difference. The next time I saw his Twitter feed, he had posted a simple sketch of a candlestick chart, but he had given it little, smiling eyes. He had learned something about the human element, even in the cold world of finance. The tragedy of trying to enter another profession is that you realize your skills are not transferable, your language is wrong, and your entire way of seeing the world is a liability. But the positivity is this: you find a profound, renewed appreciation for the weird, specific little niche you were born to occupy. I am a storyteller and an artist. Chad is a banker. And thank heavens, the world is better for us both staying in our lanes. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go upload a new video. How to draw a calming cup of tea. A guide for recently stressed investment bankers. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.